And then we empower our whole team. Like our number one thing is when we go to hire, we empower people to take ownership. Legit, do not come with us to like ask us questions about minutia. Make a decision, tell us why you did it. If it was the right decision, great. If it was the wrong decision, let's course correct for the next one. So when we hire our regionals and hire our employees, we really look for that as our core quality.
You're asking yourself, why am I doing this?
Smart people would know how to use all these different tools.
You start with something small.
You'll never get your entire organization if you don't pull off operations. Don't give up.
It can be as small as that.
I think you guys are going to have our last today.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Delegate That podcast, where we discuss the art and science of delegation, business management, and leadership. Today, I'm really looking forward to a fun conversation with Pasha Esfandiary. I almost practiced that before we started, and I was told I did it right. Now, who knows if I said it right this time or not? But Pasha, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the group here and tell us about your business?
Yeah, my name is Pasha Esfandiary. Obviously, as you just said, my company is Evoke Capital, where we invest strictly into mobile home communities. It's basically private equity for mobile home communities specifically. We've grown now in the last little over 3 years from 0 pads to about close to 3,000 pads now.
Wow. All right. So, and how long has that been?
A little over 3 years.
3 years. All right. 3 years, 3,000 pads. That's a pretty quick growth. How did you kind of manage, so I talked to a bunch of people on how they kind of grow their business. Some people are like, oh, I want to be slow and steady. And some people are like, no, I want to do explosive growth. I want to make all this happen. How do you kind of decide, you and your, and however many partners you have, decide how you wanted to kind of work this growth to get you in that 3 year mark to now sitting at 3,000 pads?
Okay. So this is a really good question. I don't think me and my partners, and I have two partners, ever really set out a plan to grow the way we've grown. Okay. So I think the way that I look at things is very linear for me, just kind of coming from my background of playing poker professionally for so long. I take things as they come. The reason why we wanted to get into mobile home communities in the first place was because, and strictly because, there's an opportunity and a little slice of time where we can buy these kind of properties from mom and pop sellers. So it was like, hey, we have to go and do this really quickly. Now, it's not like, hey, we have to hit a target that we want to get. In fact, it's actually quite opposite for us. We take things with a head down approach. Will this deal pencil out for the next 10 years? Will we like to keep it for 20 years? And we've just been able to identify a market sector. And I would like to attribute a lot of our success to the fact that we all act very quickly. We can make decisions very quickly. We can underwrite very quickly. And I would say half of our portfolio has been won because we've been able to act faster than everybody else. And that's just our dedication to really making sure that the brokers know that we're serious about never backing down. And we've really gained a really good reputation really quickly. That entangled with our speed of execution, with our reputation, is what has allowed us to scale the way we have had. But it was never our plan to do this. We still pinch ourselves to say, hey, this is we've grown really quickly. But like I said, this wasn't like some, magic plan that we had created in the beginning.
Okay. So as it started growing, like did you start with the two partners, or did you start differently?
Me and my two partners bought properties on our own previously until creating Evoke. We basically were buying properties on our own for a while until we ran out of money and said, all right, well, I guess we have to syndicate. Let's learn how to do that. And then we syndicated another one and then another one, and we should create a fund, and now another fund. And now it's on to, the third fund.
Okay. So that's what you've been doing then is creating funds. Are they like 506B, 506C type funds, or?
Yeah, the first one was 506B. The second one was 506C. We're going to go back to 506B because we're going to create Fund 3 here shortly.
All right. Just because you have the right network, you have a good friends and family network to be able to build that out, or?
Yeah, we've been really blessed. We've got a ton of referrals. We have a lot of people who are bringing us other investors into our deals. I think the biggest feedback that we get is once you get into our system, you see how we operate. We're fully transparent. We send super detailed quarterly updates. We say what we're going to do. We have no problem acknowledging our mistakes that we make. We're just wholeheartedly authentic as possible, because at the end of the day, people want to work with people they trust, right? And we created everything in this company for investors. We created the way I would want to invest in other people's deals, because I've been burned as an LP so many times before, and it drives me insane. So I think that's really kind of what's happened and been able to take us to that. When I created the second fund, I thought I was going to have to do more marketing because we shot for a bigger number. But in fact, it was all friends and family, all referral based that was coming to us.
Do you feel overwhelmed with mundane tasks that eat up your valuable time? It's time to reclaim your schedule and focus on what truly matters. Get your time back with elite remote talent without the time zone hassle. Delegate $10 an hour tasks to focus on more $1,000 an hour tasks. Schedule your free strategy call at wisevas.io.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think the authenticity part is absolutely a requirement, and I think that keeping friends and family, this Adam's personal opinion, is also a great thing because you have that little extra piece of like, no, like this is my family, it's my friend. Like I need to keep myself accountable on this, and having that authenticity, I think, is a great spot to go. So as you've been building it out and you've been growing this, what is your team on the ground at all these different pads? How does that look like to manage 3,000 pads? How do you kind of deal with making sure that, hey, this home needs to sell, this home we need to make, we don't want that to be, leased anymore. We want to sell that to the who's living there. How do you kind of manage all of that as it's been growing?
Yeah, I have to give a ton of credit to my partner, Edmund. He manages all the operations. So even earlier today, I was just, listening in, fly on the wall, as you would say, to his calls with our regionals that we have. And, all three regionals have a certain portfolio. It's like a property management company, like a typical structure for a property management company. But Edmund, I don't know how he does it, but he holds every single piece of property that we have. He knows exactly what needs to be done at every single property, what needs to be sold, what needs to get done in CapEx, what manager's there, what's going on. He just has this capacity for like this massive memory about every single property, and then just always getting updates and asking about our regionals, right? So, and then we empower our whole team. Like, our number one thing is when we go to hire, we empower people to take ownership. Legit, do not come with us to like ask us questions about minutia. Make a decision, tell us why you did it. If it was the right decision, great. If it was the wrong decision, let's course correct for the next one. So when we hire our regionals and hire our employees, we really look for that as our core quality.
So how many regionals do you have now?
3 regionals.
3 regionals. And how long have they each been with you?
So we just hired 2 just recently. We got rid of 1. We have 1 regional that's been with us she started as a property manager. She's worked herself up. She's kind of like a junior regional right now. So she's been with us for about almost the whole time. So like 2.5 years, actually 3 years. And then we also have another, she is actually another junior regional, but she takes care of all of our properties that are already stabilized. And so in mobile home parks, once a property is stabilized, you really don't have to do much. It's a lot of work to get it to that point. But at that point, it's all tenant-owned homes or RTOs. Basically, they're responsible for everything. So there doesn't take a lot of maintenance or time on their hands. So.
And is that your goal, is to get a majority of them all tenant-owned?
That's always our goal in every single property. Not a majority, the whole portfolio.
So as you've been kind of building it out, you mentioned that one of your goals, obviously, when hiring, is to make sure that you have the people who can execute those decisions. What are you looking for in a person? How are you setting up the interview to know that that's the type of person that you're getting?
One thing that I will always look for is history of success. Right. Now, you can't really do that on some positions. A lot of our property management positions will take them with no property management experience when they're on the ground level, because we can train them up. We can do all that. But when it comes to, let's say, like leadership positions, do they have a history of success? Right. That is the number one thing that I will always look for. And for me, that's the number one indicator of future success. And then secondly is, are they capable? Like, that is, you're interviewing for smarts. Are they capable? Once we train them up, are they going to be able to execute the way we want them to? And there are certain things that when you're interviewing somebody, you're going to pick up on patterns and clues, right? So if you really listen intently into what they're saying and trying to get the message behind the message, then some people will say that, over and over again, how proactive they are, or they just get things done. That also can mean that they may not be the most detail-oriented But we can set up the systems and we can set up the procedures in place for that, or we can hire help for that, right? So I look for little things and try to identify patterns in the recruiting process. And that is something I still do as a CEO. I take every first interview on every single employee down to like the smallest, even maintenance staff in my company, because I'm so hell-bent on getting the right people inside the company.
And I mean, that's your baby. That's every person that you hire is affecting the return on the business. So you have to pay a lot of attention to that. So with all the times that you've been bringing people in, and what are some example, like maybe questions or scenario based or whatever it is that pulls some of that out from those people? Maybe because everybody can look good on a piece of paper when they put that in there, and everybody can, or not everybody, but some people can really spout out. I'm really good at spouting out a bunch of nonsense that sounds great, but says nothing, right? So how do you make sure that you're actually getting the actual substance out of the person to know that you're hiring that right spot?
Okay, so everything that I do in all the meetings that I take with potential interviewees, I set up the call to ask them. I say, hey, listen, what I'm going to ask of you is what I'm really looking for is I'm not looking for the sugar-coated answers. I know that this is an interview. I get the validity that you want to make the best impression of me, but I promise you, if you give me answers that you think I want to hear, or fluffy PC answers or the fluffy interview answers, it's going to drive me insane, and I will not make you go to the second interview. Give me the authentic, real version, because what's going to happen is I want to get to know you for you, and I want you to get to know me for me, and I promise you at the end of the call, I will give you all the real answers. I won't sugarcoat what this company is. I won't sugarcoat anything. Do we have that agreement? And they say yes. And some of the things that I hear on these calls are incredible. Like, they just give you the real answer. Sometimes I've had some insane answers where I'm like, wow, I can't believe that person told me. But they're like, you want to be authentic. When you give them the permission to be authentic, they usually will. Now, I don't discount people who are like, I discount people who are polished. I look for the meaning behind the meaning. So another thing that I try to do in my interviews is I look for a pattern. If someone keeps repeating 6 different things in 6 different ways, because I only ask open-ended questions. I do not ask any questions that happen to be, giving direction on the answer that I want. It's just completely open-ended, such as, describe your perfect culture. Describe what's the best day at work for you. 1 out of 10, if I hired 10 people at the same time, where are you going to rank yourself after 1 year and why? Just really random open questions, take 10 minutes, all very repetitive. But if they say something 4, 5, 6 times throughout those different questions, it's usually a pattern that comes out, right? So if they just say a really beautiful, kind of eloquent answer, I don't really listen to it unless I ask more questions and it keeps coming out.
So with your professional poker skills, is that something that you kind of use in your interviews as well? Like, are there different tells that you're looking out for? Are there different things that you're paying attention to? Their body posture and things that maybe you're asking a question that they're uncomfortable with. Is that something that you're able to kind of reach back into that repertoire and use that in your interviews?
Yes.
Do you enjoy that portion of it? I would think I would enjoy that portion of it. As a former counterintelligence and criminal investigator, I tend to use that a little bit in my conversations and just kind of see different things. So I would imagine it would be the same for you.
It's really good to kind of like wash away some red flags that I think would come up. There are things that I obviously see that I know other people don't see or recognize, or I could piece the puzzle together better, and I'll just say no, right? But when you ask, do you enjoy it? I mean, I wish I could turn it off, but I just can't at this point. It just is what it is. Yeah. It drives my wife crazy, right? Because I'm like, well, that story doesn't make sense. Like, and she's like so into this story, and then like we'll get in the car and be like, that story was not like correct, right? Because of this. She's like, you just ruin everything, Pasha, I was like, I can't help myself.
Yeah.
I'm looking like I have been literally trained by playing poker for so long to look out for when people are lying to me. Right. And it does help me in let's say like body posture, right? There's certain things that you can tell about body posture. Are they a little bit more serious? How do they show up to them? How do they carry themselves? Right. For example, I have one of my department heads. He is like very on point, very energetic, stiff. Like, he likes his crap done to the T and the I meticulously. And if someone comes up and is a little bit more lax to the call, that is not the person I'm going to set him up with my department head. I am looking for more of him, right? Because it's going to drive him bananas. So there are little things that you evaluate and look at, and there's red flags that come up. And, I'm trying to train my assistant to sit in these calls with me and train her on hearing and seeing the things that I'm also hearing. So yeah, it's been interesting. Do I enjoy it? Yeah. I mean, it gives me an edge for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those that whether you enjoy it or not, it's part of you. So you might as well use it to your advantage and make it work. Right. So as you had already mentioned kind of in a roundabout way, right person, right seat type stuff with all of those people, like are how do they present themselves and whatnot. I'm interested on the partnership side of the house. So how did the three of you kind of partner up, and what kind of roles do each of the three of you play on the partnership?
Yeah. So I feel super blessed in that sense because my partners are some of my best friends in the world now. How it went down is I essentially just through networking, I was going to buy some multifamily deals. And I said, hey, I know you guys know multifamily. I've been studying it for about 2 years, but still I'm not an underwriter. I don't love Excel spreadsheets. I want to give you guys this property that I underwrote. I think it's a steal, but because it's a steal, I'm like, this can't be right. Can you guys underwrite it for me? And it was so thorough and so detailed. I was like, holy crap. I was like, hey, can you guys also manage my due diligence process, right? And they were so detailed. I was like, you know what? Let's just partner up on this deal if you want to come in on the deal because you guys are so good. During that deal, we bought another deal together. And then right quickly after, we kept buying more deals. They were the ones who got me to buy my first mobile home park. We naturally always had a very big mutual respect. Again, this wasn't meticulously planned out onto how we got to where we're at. But anytime we had our meetings, we would jump in and say, hey, I'll do this. Hey, I'll do that. Hey, I like doing this better. And it just got to the point where we always let each other be in their zone of genius, right? We always we're very authentic with each other. Like, hey, I'm never going to do this, so it can't be me. Right? I told them, I was like, I'm never going to do the underwriting. Like, I'm clearly not the best at that. They don't like dealing with investors. I was like, I got that. That's totally fine. I'll do it. I have the patience for it. They do not. So we naturally just fell into all of our roles. But as we were expanding and growing as a company, we'd have to put on a lot more hats. And then afterwards, we would be like, guys, I can't deal with this anymore. So somebody else would step in until we naturally just found it by just experiencing it all.
Yeah, and I think that's it's funny because I've heard a lot of partnerships like that just completely fall apart because they start to get aggravated with each other. But the fact that you guys were all so genuine with each other, it sounds like, and honest with each other, that makes a massive difference. I think it's when you force yourself to be a square peg in a round hole.
There's no way it's going to work.
Boy, there's no way it's going to work. And then you're just going to be harboring a bunch of angst and anger, and it just turns into a problem. So, as you guys have been continuing to build it out and you're expanding a lot more, how do you guys communicate as a leadership team, the three of you, and then also to your regionals and all of the other folks? How do you kind of work the communication? What's kind of your pulse throughout your company?
One thing that we always tell our employees, we are a pick up the phone kind of company. We will try not to overload you with meetings. And we did that about a year ago, and we actually went through the whole schedule and deleted all the calls that were repetitive. We don't like that. We like things to get done. And so, the operations, I don't know what their meeting schedule is like. I know me and my founders, we have a weekly call every single Tuesday where we go over all of the biggest ticket items on what we're doing. We discuss our people, what are the properties doing? Where do they need to be? Where's the troubles at? And then also we just naturally hang out. Both of my partners are moving to college. Well, one of them already moved to Denver. I'm moving to Denver, and my other partner's moving to Denver. So we naturally are always just together. We're always naturally just talking about everything that's happening inside of Evoke. What direction do we want to go? What's happening here? What's happening there? And then plus, we're always just texting each other every single day. Now, within the company itself, every department sets their own schedule of meetings. We allow every department head to make their own schedule of what works for them. Because at the end of the day, our number one core result is results. Like, this is what we tell every single person that works for us. It's all about the results. If the results aren't coming in, there will be a change of the direction, but we're going to give you ample opportunities to get those results. And every department head we have now gets those results in. They get to create their own schedule as long as they're getting results.
So I'm assuming you guys have then different KPIs that they have to hit. So that here are your results. How do you guys develop those, especially as the company keeps expanding? How often do you readdress what your KPIs are supposed to be, and how to make sure that those KPIs are still valid as you're continuing to move forward?
That's all my partner Alex. So for us being in properties, it's pretty straightforward, right? You create a pro forma. And every single year in that pro forma, you have an NOI you're supposed to be hitting. It's very black and white for us on every single one of our properties, right? Now, obviously, we have benchmarks of some of the other departments that aren't strictly responsible for that. But, in sales, we have KPIs that we want to hit. But for the most part, it's really easy because it's already set out in the pro forma that we've already created for every single one of those properties. And we analyze those pro formas every single quarter against the properties, because my partner Alex is a machine and he's always like super paranoid about our numbers and where we're at and where we need to be. So we'll randomly always get these insanely long emails from Alex about all of his concerns about certain properties because he's so meticulous about it. So that's Alex's department.
Very good. I love it. And the for each of those department heads or the departments as a whole, like if you are meeting certain metrics, what sort of do you guys have bonuses? Do you guys have different celebrations for meeting or exceeding different metrics? How do you kind of manage the excitement inside of the business to keep people motivated to do what their job is?
It's a really good question. So we've tried a bunch of different things. What we landed on is we're just going to pay our people really well. Right, like our sales department head gets really good commission base, a good base salary, but it's mostly commissions, right? One that she can really make a lot of money for where she was at. Same with our acquisition, same with our regionals, right? We pay our people really well, and we just incorporated a profit share program as well too, to have 10% of all the equity, because now finally after 3 years, we're going full cycle on some deals that they can get part of that profit share that we're doing as well. But every single department is a little bit different, right? Our acquisitions is how many deals that we bring in and we close on. Our sales is how many homes that they can sell to tenants or RTOs and all that. So we've really catered it to every single department, right? Our administrative team doesn't have a commission, but they get a really good bonus every single year because he's a machine at what he does.
Awesome. And so how did you guys kind of land on that? What sort of mistakes did you make along the way that you realized that wasn't working? Because that's one of those things that a lot of business owners, especially as they're creating all of this, trying to fine tune the right, like every time you change a pay structure, you're now changing a motivation for one thing or another. So how did you kind of decide to just go, you know what, we're just going to exceed expectations on pay and not have to worry about the rest?
Trial and error. We, being a growing company, we don't charge a lot of fees for what we do, comparatively speaking to other products or other operators out there. So we really had to be very fiscally responsible about what we paid our employees and how fast we can grow with our employees. Excuse me. But it was all trial and error, right? We tried one way. We tried to say, hey, let's hire these employees and let's try to train them up. And it just they were never really getting things accomplished the way we wanted them to, until we finally were like, hey, this isn't working. We have to try the other way. We are very much a trial and error kind of like founders. Let's try this. Great. We have a plan. Let's try it. Hey, this doesn't work. And we're very quick to say, hey, this is not working. Got to get rid of it, until you get to the right spot, right? That's just what entrepreneurship is about.
Yeah, it's what you have to do and even once you get things going well, if something needs to change, you need to change it again. It is what it is.
Again. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as you're continuing to grow, what is your, I know you mentioned getting to this wasn't really written down and planned out, but like, what is your plan moving forward? Where are you trying to grow to? What are you trying to build out to now?
We have a goal that we want to get to at least 10,000 lots, right? That's our goal. We have me and the founders have a lot of really high aspirations, and there's some really big ticket items that we've all discussed that we have really big goals on, that our vision is on. I'm not ready to discuss those right now, but really at the end of the day, we want to be buying as many of these really good properties that come our way. And I think one thing that really makes us stand out better than most is we're really great at operations. Where a lot of people come in mobile home communities, they see the numbers and they're like, hey, we can do this. This sounds easy. And they get into it and they're just like, holy crap, this is a lot harder than I thought, which has been great to us. And the reason why I say that is because when we first got into the business a few years ago to now, what we're seeing is the opportunity is changing for us, right? And so we thought we'd had 5-year window. We're going to buy all these properties from mom and pop sellers. And then once we were done with that, we were pretty much going to slow down and stop, right? Now we're starting to see this wave of deals come our way from operators who thought they knew about mobile home communities many years ago when cap rates were compressed in multifamily. And we're looking at these deals and we're like, there's so much meat on the bones left that they they don't know how to run these properties efficiently. So we're starting to see that wave of opportunity, and we're just going to keep riding the wave. Once the wave is done for us, we're done. We've talked about it many times. We'd love to get to 10,000. We'd love to keep growing. But if there's no more opportunities where we feel like our own personal money is worth investing in these deals, we won't do it, because we are our largest investors inside of our company by far.
I wish I remember who I heard this from, but they said you can't control the market, you could just participate in it, right? So you have to find where you could participate, and you find right now that you could participate really well in this, and if the market shifts and you can't participate well in it, then it's time to move on. Like, you go find where else you can. So I love that thought process. As you're continuing to grow out, what have been some of the tools that you've used to make sure that you mentioned the operations being strong, so that's where I kind of want to stick to. Is what are some of the tools you use to make sure your operations are super on point, that you're paying attention to the right data, you're having the right systems in place, you have the right SOPs built? What are some of those tools and products that you're using to make sure that's going well?
Yeah. So first we use Rent Manager. That's our number one property management tool. Everyone works off of Rent Manager on the property level, and all of that information automatically is integrated into a program that we utilize called 𝗀𝗃. 𝗀𝗃 now allows us to talk every single department all at once inside of our company, right? Because not every department can work inside of a Rent Manager. So we utilize the both. So we have a strong API that we built out into 𝗀𝗃. 𝗀𝗃 gives real-time information everywhere. And it allows us, and it allows me, to look at every single department at a snapshot in real-time information, nicely and visual. Whenever I log in, I know exactly what everyone's up to. I know exactly what their tasks are up to. And so, I can go into an individual and see what tasks they have for that day, that month, that week, and I can see, are they falling behind, and for the property. So it's been pretty amazing.
So how did you find 𝗀𝗃, and how long did that process take to kind of build out all those APIs for you? So
how we found 𝗀𝗃 is we started putting out the APB to other people and say, hey, we're looking for a program. We can't keep working off of all these Excel spreadsheets and Google Drives, and it's getting too confusing. We ended up hiring a consultant. The consultant brought us 𝗀𝗃. Funny story there. The consultant promised the world to us and delivered almost nothing, right? It was just a nightmare of a situation with the consultant. And she just couldn't understand what we were telling her. It was like, everything you promised up front is not there. And so we literally, as a company, there's a gentleman inside of my company called 𝗺𝗷𝗀𝗀𝗃. It's been with me forever, actually from day one. He loves tech, and he learned how to do this. And we hired him a coach on learning how to build all of these APIs in with the coach. And then he got really good at it. And he loves it's because it's not like coding. It's, I forget what the term is, but all the tools are in 𝗀𝗃, and you can build it out yourself with a little bit of training. So he did that with a consultant that we hired for him to learn how to do it. And that took about, we're still refining it. So it's about a 1.5-year process.
Honestly, those things are going to be a lifelong process. Like that's a task in and of itself. As everything changes and things shift, and another API comes out, another thing comes in to bolt on. Like it's just, but man, oh man, when you get them humming, they're amazing to just let kind of do the work for you.
It's been fantastic. I mean, some people complain a little bit about 𝗀𝗃, but I do try to remind everyone the reason why we got 𝗀𝗃 is, I'm the CEO that will always ask everybody in the company, what is wrong? What is going on? What do I need to know that I don't know? What are you having the most pain points with? And everyone's like, there's just too many Excel spreadsheets. There's too much miscommunication. And so we built out 𝗀𝗃 for that. No one ever complains anymore about not knowing what they need to do and not being able to get the information somewhere. And so that's a really good thing. Now, there are some parts of 𝗀𝗃 that's like, I wish that could be different. but no system is perfect.
Well, if there was like one tip to folks listening and they were saying, hey man, I really like to, I'm struggling with this growing things out. I'm trying to build this right systems. What would be a couple tips you'd give to folks who are really trying to expand their business? Like they're listening to you go from 0 to 3,000 in 3 years, 3,000 pads in 3 years. Like how, man, oh man, I really wish that I could just push myself over the edge to make some of these happen. What are some tips that you would tell some folks?
Get a coach or get somebody who's done it before, right? Like I heard something so great one time. Don't find a mentor that's 10 years out. Find a mentor that's 3 years ahead of you so that they can identify with everything that you're doing right now. They understand what you need to do next, right? So get a coach. I mean, if you're ever stuck somewhere, just get a coach. It's very simple.
I love it. That's I highly recommend that for sure. Not only because I coach people, but because I think I've used coaches, but because it's super wise to do. Like I think again, if you are listening to this, you are in a perfect position to coach somebody who you were yesterday. So why not go to somebody who you want to be tomorrow, and have them help you get to that next point. So Pasha, this has been absolutely awesome to be able to chat with you, get to know you a little bit more. If folks are hearing this and they want to reach out to you, learn more about your funds, or just chat with you in one way, shape, or form, what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
You can just email me at pasha@evokecapital.net, or you can go to the website, which is just evokecapital.net.
All right, evokecapital.net. We'll have all that in the show notes. Pasha, it was awesome getting to chat with you. Folks that are listening, please let us know what your favorite part of this conversation was. Put it in the comments, like and subscribe. Share this with somebody if you think that it's something that they should be able to, that they're going to take something out of, they're going to get some value out of, which will be pretty much anybody. So share it with everybody you can. But thank you again, Pasha. Thank you for everybody listening, and we will see everybody on the next show.
Sweet. Thank you.